Hello everyone. In our story today, we were introduced to a lot of different types of birds. And for our practice today, we're going to be drawing birds using shapes. And you're going to begin by thinking about different shapes and figuring out how you can combine them to make some really cute and fun birds. So they can be very simple, or you can start to combine multiple different types of shapes, like a semicircle with a circle head and a triangle beak, triangle tail. And we're going to explore different ways that we can make birds and all the different types of birds that we might like. And after you practice some using shapes, maybe you're going to start to make some using more curvy lines. Like maybe I'll make a bird that's shaped like this. And these birds all have one eye because they're turned to the side. But if I wanted to make a bird that faces me, then I would include two eyes. And the triangle would be in the middle then. So let's begin our practice today, drawing birds. And after you have practiced a few different kinds of birds, you're going to pick your favorite bird. And on our final paper, you're going to draw that bird. And you want to draw it as big as your hand. So we're first drawing it in pencil. And then we're going to be using a Sharpie to outline. And with this one being our final drawing, we are going to want to add some details. And so I'm looking at my bird and thinking about adding some texture onto its wing. And I'm going to do a feather texture, but you can do any sort of texture you want. Like maybe your bird's going to have polka dots, or maybe it's going to have stripes or zigzags, or any combination of lines that we've talked about so far. So you'll draw first in pencil, then you'll trace in Sharpie. Here we go. And after it's traced in Sharpie, our next step's going to be to paint it. And we will eventually be cutting this bird out, so our focus is just on the bird itself. I grabbed a couple different size brushes. I have a big brush and I have a smaller brush, and we're going to be using watercolors today. When we're using watercolors, it's important to make sure our brush is right. It needs to be wet first. We're giving Mr. Brush a drink, and you can decide what color you want your bird to be. Maybe I'll start with blue. Now when you're painting, you don't want to rub too hard on the paper, because that can start to break up the fibers of the paper. And I have a new brush here, and I can see it's already leaving a little bit of a texture to it. Now I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to add some more water, wash my brush off, and I'm going to take some blue and mix it in a little bit near my yellow. Yellow and blue make green. Yeah, yellow and blue make green. So I can mix a little bit here with the watercolors if I want to. Maybe switch back and go back to blue. I'm really not liking this new brush. Okay, so you will finish painting your bird. When you're finished with your bird, we're going to be setting this on the drying rack to dry, and then we're going to begin working on our bird's background. For the bird's background, we're going to be using a technique called collaging. Collaging is where you are cutting and layering pieces of paper to create a new design. Now, I grabbed some different scrap paper. I have some painted paper, I have some little mosaic squares, and I have some of our scrap construction paper. You will need a new sheet of construction paper for your background. This we will not cut. This is where everything's going to be going. And you're going to want to look for interesting pieces that you think are going to work. And so maybe you're going to make a home for your bird out of the construction paper, and maybe you'll find some pieces that you like I found this grass piece that's already cut, and it's a little crinkled, but I don't mind it. And you're just gonna start layering some pieces together. You know, maybe I could use some of these to kind of show the sun. Oh, I really like this purple painted paper, so I want to think about how I could incorporate this. And the idea is we're going to try to cover up most of that construction paper that's underneath. You know, so maybe these things could be my trees, and they could be coming up high. I could have a few of those going on. Maybe I could use my grass. Maybe I could even cut some leaves. Maybe I want purple leaves. That would be kind of fun. So I could cut some leaf shapes. And you're going to lay everything out first. I call it dry fitting, where we're organizing our pieces and nothing is glued down. So I can continue to move things around and make them just the way I want them before I start to glue. All right. Maybe I want that yellow to shine through back here. And so have fun kind of playing around with your pieces and finding new and unique ways to make a picture. Okay. When you're done planning out your piece, you're going to slide everything off and you'll begin to glue them on. So the pieces that were towards the back, you want to glue those first. And just remember, when we are gluing, you are gluing with a glue stick around the edges, putting it in position on your paper and smoothing it flat. If any part lifts, you need to go back and add more glue. Once we have the background mostly done, we are going to want to pull out our painted bird and get our bird cut out. Now I'm looking at my feet and realizing those are going to be really hard to cut out. So I'm going to plan on cutting off the feet, and if I want to add them back on again, I can always draw them again. So we'll cut out around our bird carefully, and I can get rid of this chunk of paper so it's out of the way. And I'm trying to stay on my line best I can. So turn the paper as you need to go. We'll cut that off. And the last little piece. Once your bird is cut out, you want to figure out where the bird should go in your picture. You know, maybe I could even tuck my bird down into the grass, or the bird could be up near the tree. Some of your backgrounds might go this way. You know, maybe you just have added a lot of colors. And so once you decide where your bird's going to go, you will glue it same way, where we're getting the edge and then sticking it down. And then you want to go back and add in those little mosaic squares. Just gives you a lot of nice bright color, and you can kind of fill in those. Touch up any loose pieces of paper, making sure everything is nice and flat. And when you are finished, make sure your name is on the back, and you can turn it in. I'm going to draw my bird's feet back on really quick before I do that though. There we go.